Okay, part 2, the paper mache goo. Just to refresh you, we started, part 1 was the armature base. Part 2 is paper mache goo. And then after this, we're going to be doing the painting and embellishments. For paper mache goo, the supply list that you need today is a bowl, a spoon or a whisk, a half a gallon of cold water, paper mache mix, your newspaper strips, and a table covering, something to cover the table that you're working on so that you don't get it all messy. If you want to pause the video and go gather these materials now and then come back and play. Just for future reference, if you're interested in doing projects sometime over the summer, this is Elmer's Paper Mache Art Paste, and you can get it on Amazon. Okay. I realized, and when I packed the to-go packs, I gave you these little baggies of the paper mache mix. I realized that I gave you way too much. So there's two things you can do. You can just make it as is and you'll have a lot of extra. Or if you want to save half of it and you can use it later on to do a project, you can do that. If you're going to save half of it, then you'll measure out half of what's in the baggie. I wrote this down for you. So half of what's in the paper mache, the paper mache mix that's in the baggie, and then 4 cups of cold water. That's if you're doing half and saving half of the powder for later. If you're doing the whole thing, that you just follow the instructions that were given to you in the to-go pack. The whole thing is the full bag of the paper mache mix and a half gallon or 8 cups of cold water. Okay, so I mixed mine in advance. Again, like a cooking show, I have this ready for you, the paper mache goo. But just a couple tidbits of or helpful hints of what to do when you're mixing it. Get your water first, put it in the bowl, and then add a little bit of powder at a time. As you add powder, use a spoon or a whisk and mix it together. If you add the whole thing at once and then try to mix it, it will turn into a big clump. So do a little bit at a time. Once it's all mixed in, all the powder's mixed in, mix it for about 2 minutes and then set it aside, wait 15. When you wait 15, it kind of gels up more and it's ready to be used. So again, if you want to pause the video now, go mix your paper mache mix and then come back for the next step. All right, the next step is the fun, gooey part. And I promised my kids that they could help me with this part, so they're gonna come over to help. Come on. Reem, come on. All right, this is Avi. He's 6 and he's in kindergarten. He's gonna be one of my helpers. And then, come on, Reem. Come on. Come on this side, over here. This is Rena. She's 4, she's in preschool, and she's gonna be another helper. And then Ahmed, you sleeping? Okay, Ahmed's gonna take a pass and he's not going to help us. But Ahmed is 4 and he's in preschool too. You can get that chair, put it next to me. It's okay. Okay. Okay, so you're going to be dipping these pieces of newspaper strips into the paper mache goo. And I know it sounds funny to call this paper mache goo. I don't know where that came from, but somebody made it up one year and it just stuck, so we just always call it paper mache goo. It's not a technical term or anything like that. Okay, put this down. We don't want anything near this. And speaking of, when you're doing this messy part, nothing should be around you that's important. Put some old clothes on. If you have long sleeves on, you can roll them up. Don't have your cell phone or your parent's cell phone anywhere near. That being said, this does wash off with soap and water, so it doesn't stain, but just try to be a little extra careful. We are going to put our hands in there. Amit, do you want to join us? Come on over, buddy. Come on. They want to see you too. Come on. All right, he might get over. Okay, so you are going to put your strip into the goo And I'm going to share with you another non-technical term. Again, some student made this up and it just stuck and we use it now. I use it all the time. It's called squeegeeing. So once you put your strip in, you're going to take 2 fingers. Oh, here's Ahmed. There you are, buddy. He decided to join us. You'll take 2 fingers and squeegee it once. You'll squeegee it once and twice. Now, your paper is completely slimy and gross feeling. This stuff is gross feeling. And if you don't like how it feels, every so often you can go wash your hands just to get relief or just leave it on. It's up to you. Also, you could put rubber gloves on if you really want to. Okay, so once no, we're not going to do rubber gloves. Avi, we're not doing rubber gloves.
I'm going to make my hands now.
Not yet. Once you have your strip that's totally saturated, you'll put it down on your animal, press down, and get all those edges down. Okay. I did, for the strips, some of them I ripped in half first because some areas that will be smaller, that you need smaller pieces. Some I ripped in half once and then in half again for teeny tiny pieces. All right, do you want to dip this one in, sweetie? Go ahead. Dip it all the way in, and then we're going to squeegee it. Yep.
I'm going to squeegee it.
Okay.
Like this one?
Mm-hmm. Dip it in.
I'm going to squeegee it all by myself.
Okay. It's fine if you get it on your hands. Put it in. While she's doing that, I'll do another one. Take it out. And then 2 fingers to squeegee.
Like this?
Yes.
Whatever you want to.
Once.
Mommy,
And twice to squeegee. And every time Okay, every time that you're pressing it down on here, you want to make sure that, thank you for doing this for me. You want to make sure that it's flat against your armature. That will make it be more true to the form that the armature is. If you have big areas where it's popping up, then you won't necessarily see the shapes. Okay. And you feel free to flip this any way you want to as you're working. If you have a tablecloth over, it doesn't matter if it gets on. Okay. I know. Here I'm going to start to use smaller strips for littler areas. Oh, and these pieces of paper, come over here, you can do one. Come over here, please. These pieces of paper, it's fine for them to overlap. In fact, it's better for them to overlap because then they get a nice hardened shell. If you have more than one layer, it's better that way. Okay, so here you can see I'm doing the front, and then I'm going to work on his snout. Dip it in, squeegee once, squeegee twice. When you're squeegeeing, make sure you're squeegeeing over the bowl, not over the table.
Put over this.
What?
Put over this.
No, try to do it over the bowl.
No, but if it gets on there.
Oh, if it gets on that, that's okay. Okay, dip it in. If you want to dip, come on over here inside next to Rena. Dip it in, squeegee, and squeegee. You can't do it from over there because the bowl's over here. Go ahead, come on over and do one. Dip it, squeegee, squeegee. And if you did tag board, you're going to do the same thing. I told you if you were joining that you're not to be silly.
Mommy, one piece of good stuff.
Okay, here. Here, put this one in. All right, and then,
Right here.
Thank you.
I'll put that piece on it there. It's skinny.
Okay. Two times you squeegee. It's nice when you have helpers to do it too. It's faster. And even though our animals are little, this takes a long time, you'll see, to do the paper mache layer. Because there's lots of little pieces to do and to cover. I'm not going to do the whole thing now because it will take a long time and I don't think you need to watch me do the whole thing. But at the end, you're going to dip a couple fingers into this goo And I want you to just rub it all over every single part of your animal. The reason that you'll do that, you can go ahead and do that. The reason to do that, that makes sure that every little edge is pressed down and firmly down. The way that it looks now is going to be the way that it looks when it's dry. So if you have a piece sticking up, when it's dry, it'll be hardened and sticking up. So again, that's the last step. A couple fingers in the goo and just rub it everywhere.
On here?
On the animal.
On here?
Yep. Well, after we do, no, not the tail because we didn't cover it. This is when they have it all covered. Okay, this concludes part 2. And you can let this dry overnight, and then I'll be posting another video to show you part 3 of the last step of painting it. All right, thanks, have fun.